Hi there, my name's Aaron, and I want to share a story with you about a creature that's living in a wood just like this. It's one of the most recognizable little birds in this country and one of the favorites of many. Everybody can spot it quite easily because it's a brave little bird and it has a bright red front. You know what it is? The robin. But do you know how it got its red breast? Well, that's what this story is about. Now, robins weren't always red-fronted. They were little brown birds. Nothing unusual from any other brown bird, except the way it behaved. Robin was always very curious and very forthright, going up and checking what was going on and if there were any tidbits and snacks about. So robins were still around a lot when people were in the woods, because there's always maybe a bit of leftover lunch or something dropped where people are. So this robin, on the day of the story, was watching a group of people who were camping in the woods and were obviously leaving. They were taking down their funny little houses that they always put up, and they were walking away. Robin thought there was a good chance there'd be something tasty left behind. But then it noticed something that he was worried about. The fire that the people had been making had not been put out properly. It was still smoking. There were still sparks and red glow. And in fact, Robin watched closely. The fire was growing. Now Robin was worried and shouted an alarm to the other animals. There's a fire in the wood. Watch out, everybody. There's a fire. And Robin was about to fly away to safety when another idea came to him. This was his wood. This is where he was born and where he grew up and where his nest was and all his friends. He was going to do the best he could with what he had to save the wood. Robin knew where there was a stream nearby and flew over and filled his little beak with as much water as he could, which isn't much, and flew to the fire and spat at the fire and put out a tiny bit of a leaf that was starting to burn, but the fire was growing still. So the robin flew back to the stream and was about to fill his beak with more water when there was a rustling in the bushes, and out came some mice, and they were all panicked. Robin, there's fire. We can smell the smoke. We better run. Come on. And Robin said, no, wait. I'm doing the best I can. We can. But the mice had already run up the hill. So Robin filled his beak, flew to the fire and spat into the fire, putting out a tiny bit of spark. But the fire was still growing. So the robin went back to the stream and was just about to fill his beak when a bigger rustling came. And out of the bushes rumbled Badger. But he also was panicked by the smoke and the smell. Quick, Robin, get out of the way. There's a fire in the wood up the hill. Robin said, no. We can all help if we do what we can. But Badger had already gone. Robin filled his beak and off he went, back to the fire and spat, and back to the stream, and was just about to fill his beak again when an even bigger rustling came out of the bushes, and this time came Deer. And Deer was stamping the ground. There's a fire in the wood, everybody run. And Robin said, no. If we all do the best we can save. But even Deer had jumped and ran away. Robin flew back to the fire and spat again, and back to the stream, and back. The other animals had gathered at the top of the hill at the edge of the wood and were looking back down and watching the robin darting backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And they were feeling a bit embarrassed. The mice were chatting to each other. And Badger was looking a bit bashful and scratching his chin, and Deer was pawing the ground and looking around, not feeling very proud of himself, being big and all, and Robin doing so much to save the wood. Finally, the mice and the other little birds couldn't take it anymore and said, "We're going to help Robin." And they ran and flew back down the hill to the stream, filling their mouths, their beaks, and their pouches. Mice have good pouches, so they could hold a lot of water for little animals. And they ran to the fire and spat at the fire and came back to the stream. Now the bigger animals joined in, the badgers, the rabbits, and the deer, and they all filled their mouths with water and went over to the fire and spat on the fire and put it out. They saved their woodland. They were delighted. They looked over at the brave little robin who sat exhausted on a branch, and they noticed something. Little Robin was covered in black. His feathers were all dirty, and in particular his front had been scorched from the heat and the sparks of the fire. So the animals got back together and they had a chat, and they came up with a way to reward the brave Robin. They presented the little bird with a red jacket. And robins have always had a red jacket ever since. And it's like they're almost little firemen as they look and keep an eye out on what's going on in the woods, and singing and shouting if they see anything that they think is a problem or a danger. That's why you're bound to see a robin if you enter a wood and you just take the time to look around, especially if you have something tasty with you. But don't leave anything behind you, particularly not a fire. I hope you enjoyed the story of how Robin got his red breast. Okay, I have a story for you about an animal that isn't here in Ireland. A very unusual looking animal that you find in parts of Africa. And I got this story from a tradition called Tinga Tinga. Now, you might have come across the name Tinga Tinga because of a cartoon series. And I'll share some links about that so you can watch a cartoon about this story I'm going to tell you, and many others. And it might, I'm hoping, inspire you to create your own art and stories. So the one I've chosen to tell you from the Tinga Tinga tradition of East Africa, countries like Tanzania and Kenya and Uganda, is how Giraffe got his long neck. Okay? Because a long time ago, Giraffe didn't have a long neck or long legs. It was much like a zebra, yeah, or a really big type of deer or horse. But Giraffe was very fussy about what she ate. Lots of things gave her tummy problems, and sometimes those tummy problems got quite serious and smelly, and she was very embarrassed about that. So one day she was walking through the grasslands, and it was unfortunate for her because grass gave her tummy problems. She came towards a mango tree and met the monkeys. And the monkeys were enjoying a mango or 3 or 4. And they said, "Giraffe, what? Why are you looking so sad?" Giraffe saying, "I'm so hungry, but I'm not sure what to eat." The monkey said, "Oh, you've got to try mango. Mango's the best thing ever. Here." And they threw her a mango. So Giraffe tried mango, which is a very sweet and juicy fruit. Monkeys love them. and even elephant who turned up enjoyed the mango. Giraffe tried it, didn't mind the taste, but very quickly realized that mango does not suit Giraffe's tummy. Her tummy started rumbling and grumbling, and she felt like she was going to get sick. And she was like, oh, my stomach, and oh, I've got to go, I'm sorry. And she was very embarrassed, and she ran to the nearest bushes and she hid. Elephants and monkey were like looking at each other. Oh my goodness, poor giraffe. Other animals arrived because there was all kinds of chatter going on. Lion arrived, and also Tortoise. Tortoise is very wise, or at least he thinks he is, and Lion is known as the king of the beasts. So everybody listens to Lion. Elephant and monkey told Lion that Giraffe was hiding over in the bushes and that she had a really bad stomach and she wouldn't come out. Everybody went over. Lion said, Giraffe, what is wrong? Giraffe said, oh, I'm sorry, Your Highness, I'm sorry, excuse me. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. I've got a very bad tummy problem. Lion said, do you know the best thing for a bad tummy? It's honey. Honey will settle the tummy. Go and talk to the bees. Giraffe said, oh, thank you, asante, asante, which means thank you in their language. I'll go and talk to the bees. And Giraffe ran over to the nearest tree that had bees. In the hole of the trunk, there was a beehive, and you could hear it and see all the bees. She asked the bees, bees, Lion tells me that honey will help me. I have a very bad tummy. The bees took pity on Giraffe and said, you're right, our honey is good medicine. You may help yourself. And the bees flew off, because bees are busy. It's not easy making honey. So Giraffe stuck her head into the hole and licked with her long tongue honey for the first time. And honey tasted lovely. And she realized quite quickly that her tummy felt much better. So she licked more honey and more honey. She had to reach in further to be able to reach the honey, and licked quite greedily now, enjoying the honey, and realized her tummy didn't bother her anymore, and she loved honey. She licked a bit more and reached a bit further before deciding, I've had enough for now, I'm going to leave, and went to pull her head out. But realized she was stuck, because giraffes have little horns, just little ones, and sticky out ears, and she'd reached in so far to the hole she jammed her head. She was stuck, and she was embarrassed. So when the other animals came to find where Giraffe was, and found her with her head stuck in the trunk of a tree, and asked her, like monkeys asked and elephants asked, are you all right, Giraffe? She said, oh, I'm fine, actually, I'm fine. I'm just resting and having honey. The other animals left her for a while, and she was stuck there for days, for a long time. The other animals came back, and they had a chat, and Lion came, and Elephant said, Lion, Giraffe had her head in the tree for days, maybe longer. Lion looked. Giraffe, are you okay? He asked. Giraffe said, I'm fine, I'm just enjoying the honey. Tortoise said, I don't think Giraffe is telling the truth. I think she's stuck. Monkey said, you know what we should do? We should all grab a leg and pull her out. Lion said, that is a good idea. Everybody grab a leg. So the monkeys were on a leg, Lion were on a leg, hippo came over. She's good and strong. She was on a leg, and the elephant too. And they pulled. And you know what happened? Well, the head didn't come out, but her legs stretched. Oh, she said, oh, my legs. All the animals stopped and looked. Oh my goodness, you've got very long legs, Giraffe. And she said, oh, don't worry, I'm fine. Thank you very much, Asante. But her head was still in the tree. The animals got together and they came up with a new plan. Monkey said, what we should do is we should all go to the other side of the tree and pull the tree off her. Lion said, that is very wise. That's what we shall do. So all the animals went round the other side and started pulling the branch of the tree away from Giraffe. Elephant wrapped her trunk. Hippo pulled elephant. Lion pulled hippo. The monkeys pulled lion, and they bent the tree back and back and back. And Giraffe was like, oh, my head. And you know what happened? The head didn't come out. Her neck stretched. All the animals came round and said, uh-oh, Giraffe, you have a very long neck. And she said, oh, I'm fine, really I am. And they were saying, Giraffe, you can't stay in there forever. She stayed in there a good while longer, eating honey and saying she was fine, so long that the tree actually grew taller and taller, with her still in it, until finally the honey was gone. Giraffe got hungry and was convinced that she had to get her head out of the tree. So for once she tried for herself, and she twisted and turned and pulled and twisted and turned and pulled, and pop, out came her head. And now she stood up and she looked down, and even elephant looked small, monkeys looked tiny, even lion looked strange and far away. Monkeys laughed and said, my goodness, you're as tall as the trees. In fact, the monkey climbed her leg up to her back and up her long neck and stood on her head. You can see from everywhere up here, said Monkey. And she could. And the Giraffe walked around looking over the treetops, and the monkey said, oh, go over there. I can smell lovely fresh leaves. Come over here. And the monkey said, look, these are the fresh new leaves we climb up to. And the Giraffe sniffed and said, ooh, I've never smelled any food so nice as that. And she gave it a nibble, and she discovered that she loved the fresh green leaves from the tops of trees. The monkey shouted down to the other animals, is there any tummy trouble down there? And they listened to Giraffe's tummy, and there was no noise. Giraffes can eat fresh green leaves from the top of trees that very few other animals can touch. And that is why giraffes have long legs and a very long neck. I hope you enjoyed that story. There are many more. Bye.